Welcome to Even Just a Little, where we explore the beautiful gift of choice, tiny trusts toward big freedom, those moment to moment decisions we make that build life. I am really eager to dive in with my new friend, Trey Malone, who is the CEO of Northshore Coffee, as well as a devoted dad of three girls, I understand.
Yeah.
And our connection gives me the hint that he is the best big brother ever. And I'm just really to hear your story because coffee is more to him than just a bean or a cup. And I'm really excited to explore our where our paths cross with art and coffee, honestly. So welcome and thank you for being here, Trey.
Thank you so much, Sherri. It is an honor to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. So I'd love to explore how did you land as um you sound like a coffee entrepreneur to me, just a very creative
Yeah.
spirit that has a bigger vision than literally just the cup of coffee and the taste of the coffee. So let's go.
I think that's a great way to describe it. Some people might even say a serial entrepreneur. I love starting things. I love building. I'm actually, it's maintaining and kind of the day to day is something that I'm not particularly gifted in, but God's always been so gracious to have me partner with people that are really good at that. And it's really neat to have just a group of people. I've really yesterday and today, especially, I've just been reveling over the team that God has given me in my company right now. But this is about my seventh company that I've started since I was in coffee. A lot of
Okay.
them very related. A lot of times I would start a venture and then it would change names or change partners or move to a different state. And so, really, in general, this is the second venture. For the first 10 years of my career, I was working on one particular venture that, changed names and states and partners, but it's still going. It's in Orange County, California. It's a large scale manufacturing facility for coffee extract. And that was a really fun venture. And me and my wife and my three girls, I had two of them when we left, and then we got one along the way. And so they were just there for all of the moves and cross country treks and the hustle. And so so we lived. Me and my wife are both 34, and we've had a fast and furious, 34 years of life. But we're so grateful. Right now, I own a craft roastery. So Northshore Specialty Coffee it's a specialty coffee roastery in Jackson, Mississippi, and in Covington, Louisiana. We have two locations for our roastery, and then we have three cafes split between those two locations. So my business partners, they actually approached me. I was still working remote from my company in California. I'd started that with some really great people out there. And I'd started the venture in about 2014, but the partnership that it is today, we started in 2019 with a really wonderful family out there, dear brothers of mine. And we built it over COVID, and then COVID was quite difficult. And so after we had built that, we actually decided to move back home to Mississippi, and I worked remote. And that working remote was difficult. I was on an airplane pretty much every other week, and my girls were getting old enough to notice that I was gone a lot. And so I was very grateful when my friend Justin Fontenoy called and said that he wanted to start a coffee shop and then a coffee roastery. And so then we started Northshore Specialty Coffee, and Haven Coffee and Cocktails is our cafe in Covington. So yeah, it's been a really fun journey, and I pretty much summed up 10 years of thousands of stories and a lot of work and a lot of, you know, uh,
Sounds like it.
yeah, amazing stuff. I read a book one time by Malcolm Gladwell, and he said that all big things come from being in the right place at the right time, being talented at what you do, and not a small amount of luck. And so I definitely am.
Oh,
I've got all three of those as well. But
oh, well, it sounds like you've been working hard is what it
yeah,
sounds like to me. Yeah, it
lots
does.
lots of hard
Well,
work.
So did you stumble into coffee, or did you have a love of coffee, or were you intrigued by the business? You said coffee extract. Is that different from what we
Yeah,
drink?
that's a
Okay.
great question. So the first question I'll answer because there's a lot of people in business and a lot of entrepreneurs that I have a ton of respect for that know business and they love business and they might not necessarily be passionate about the product that they're selling or the
Mhm.
business itself. They just know how to do business and they're great at
Yes.
it. I have a client. I do a lot of consulting and I have a client in Atlanta and she came from real estate development and she called me and said that she just took over as the president of a coffee company. And it was crazy to me that she didn't know anything about coffee, but she knows how to run a business. And I'm so impressed by that because that is not my story. I'm the opposite. I
I,
I
same,
came from
same.
a
Yes.
passion. So mine was the opposite where I loved coffee. I was passionate about coffee and I'd love to
Okay.
dig into that and why, but I figured the business side out of a love for what the product and what the industry was. And so have a ton of respect for people that do it the opposite way. But
Yeah.
it's not like I couldn't just go into development, real estate development or oil and gas or anything and, build something successful. I really have to care and be passionate about
Yes.
what I'm working on. So
Well, and I'm understanding that in working with Emily, your sister, because I'm very similar. I
yeah,
mean, the business sense for me was skipped. It really
yeah,
was. And I have
yeah,
a daughter and son that are really business savvy, but so I get what you're saying, but I love the risk and the joy of creating new and adventures and so it's so wonderful. That's what makes it work. Us all
yeah,
doing our different pieces. So, yeah.
exactly.
Well, so you said you really loved coffee. Tell me what you mean by that.
Well, I loved yeah, that's a great question because it's not just the product itself, right? And so, you might even be able to answer this, but if you want to go have a conversation with a friend, or if you want to get to know them better, or if you want to catch up, what would you typically ask them?
Let's go have a cup of coffee. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what you say, right? And
I
so
love that. So that was a big part of your love
a
is
huge part.
is bringing the people together.
A huge part. Yeah, it really is.
Love.
It's literally synonymous with relationships. Like that phrase, let's go get a cup of coffee. Sometimes the other person might not even drink coffee, but they know what it
Yep.
means. It means that I want to
Yes.
talk to you. I want to get to know you better, or I want to catch up, or I want to hear about your life or whatever. And so I was just so blessed to grow up with amazing parents. And my both of my parents were in ministry and my mom's house always smelled like coffee. And so from
Oh,
a young age,
love
it was
that.
so cool. And that smell from an early age was always associated with community, with really engaging conversations and just sweet, rich community with other people. And so, and I fell in love with that. And I won't say I did. It's not the product too. I also love the product. I love what it does. And we were talking earlier about my podcast that I'm helping produce with a friend of mine called terroir. And terroir is a French word that we don't really have a translation for in English, but it essentially means all of the origin components of something that make it what it is. And, it's in wine. In France, it's used for wine often. And in coffee, we use it to really describe why the same exact species of plants grown in the foothills of Ethiopia will taste completely different than that exact same plant grown in Brazil or
Mm.
in Mexico. And so what what it is there's the soil and then the acidity of the water and the hillside and the plants that are growing beside it and the pickers and then the producers and how it's processed and all of these things that go into we a lot of times we think of products that we consume just as what they are, like milk is milk and
Mhm.
lemonade is lemonade and coffee is coffee, right? Sugar is sugar. And it takes it's further than just a ubiquitous commodity into something that's truly extravagant. And so I love that. And I love to take that even further into that we as people, we are made up of our surroundings, right? And
Mhm.
all of us, some good and some bad. And there's parts of us that are hurting and broken because of our childhood or experiences in teenage years or adult years, but then there's parts of us that are beautiful and thriving because of the same thing. And so I love the connection of this beautiful, extravagant product that I could literally talk for hours about, and then the people that enjoy it and the community that it brings are all just, to me, a beautiful painting of just bright colors that all mix together. So
Love, 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 love that. Definitely want to go with this because that fits perfectly with tiny trusts, tiny trusts. So the choices that were made in your life that you made some of them, but your surroundings also figured into that. Your parents,
yeah,
the other people that were in your home while you were
yeah,
I mean, the smell of the coffee. I mean,
yeah,
that is just, it led you to this. And
yeah,
it was a piece of what led you to this. So let's talk about tiny trusts, things that come to mind, maybe when you were a child that prepared you for. I think you're the perfect person to talk to on this podcast because you're living an out of the box life. And I think we're all made to live these lives, but a lot of people don't even think they can. They don't think they
yeah,
deserve it, or how could I? But it really happens one tiny little baby step at a time.
yeah,
And maybe, um, first of all, choices that come to mind when you were a kid that your
yeah,
parents made that was like a little crumb leading you in this direction, or maybe some things that you're trying to do with your girls that the choices you're making to help them head in the direction you think that they were created to go.
yeah, yeah. There's one choice that came to mind later in life, but you're totally right. Even I think the choices that were made for me at a younger age, which I love to talk about that because a lot of times the concept of privilege is brought up, where a lot of families are raised with privilege, and my privilege was two amazing parents that loved me and that gave me. We didn't have any money. My dad was a camp pastor, for crying out loud, but we
Oh,
I,
no wonder you're
I like
wonderful. Oh,
100%. I probably grew up richer than any other kid I know because of what they gave to me, and just and really what it was, and how it relates to coffee is how they taught me the value of other people and how they valued others. And
yeah.
kind of makes me want to cry, but just
Yeah, me too.
thinking about like just the way that my mom would engage in conversations with other people around her, and the way that she would just be so present and
Mm,
listen to people and listen to joy and pain. It's not one-sided. And so I think that the decision that was made for me was for me to grow up in an environment where I saw the value of other people so well modeled and in so
mm,
many facets. And so I did grow up at a summer camp, which was really cool too. So that was really awesome, where there was kind of a big part of my life was around other people. So those small things. And then frankly, there's one person that is the most responsible for the beauty and success of my life. And her name is Allie, and she married me 14 years ago.
oh,
And so I remember one of those little choices that is just stands in mind is we kind of built the career of coffee, and kind of it being successful was done in Southern California. So I don't know if you know Sherri, but Jackson, Mississippi is not the most progressive coffee industry and coffee market in the nation. There are others that are a little further beyond, but I love being able to build something beautiful here. But I remember in particular one time, so I kind of gotten a knack for cold brew. That kind of became my thing, and
mhm,
brewing cold brew, and kind of expanding that into more of an operation and manufacturing environment. And so in 2014, 2015, nitro coffee was really cool. Everybody was really wanting to get into that. Starbucks hadn't done it yet, and so everyone was really interested. And there was this guy in Los Angeles that asked me to come out and consult for him and teach him how to do it. And so I was like, yeah, it's going to take me some time, so I'll need to be there for 2 months. And so I kind of made arrangements with the business I had started here in Jackson, and put my family on an airplane, and we went out there and stayed in a little camper van. And there's a town right next to Compton called Gardena. So we were literally in an RV and like an industrial park next to Compton, which sounds wild, and it was just as wild as it sounds. But there was one moment when we had been there for about a month, and our savings had run out. And so my wife and I, we were right by Long Beach, California. We were living in Long Beach, and we were walking on the beach, and the sun was going down, and we were talking about, all right, I guess we'll go back, and I guess I'll just get a job and just do this on the side. And we don't really have any more money to keep doing this, but it's been fun. And then I said, or we could stay here. The guy that I was consulting with had offered me a job to stay out there. And so, we packed bags and got on an airplane and had a suitcase we were living out of. And I told her, I was like, we could stay here. And Allie looked at me and she said, I don't see how we have another choice. And her faith in just that, like, yeah, we had another choice. We could have moved back to be with family, and I could have gotten a regular job, and we could have done the regular thing. But that moment, she saw what I was passionate about, and she invested in that so heavily. And so we stayed. We packed a bag for 2 months, and then we moved back 7 years later. And so we stayed out there.
That's
and
a great story.
was really the impetus of the point when it was a glorified hobby into actually becoming a career path, and allowing me to be a coffee entrepreneur. So, yeah.
Well, and that's risky. I mean, when you're making these little jumps, or big jumps in that case,
Yeah.
I mean, it's risky and uncomfortable. And, I almost feel like sometimes we're encouraged to play it safe. But in order to have these really fun, out of the box lives, it does involve embracing, as Bob Goff says, embracing uncertainty, just embracing. And that sounds, if you just say it, it's no big deal. But when you're doing it, it's a big deal. I mean, your family, you didn't have any money, and you're just going to stay in your camper. Oh my goodness. I wouldn't say that would be a tiny trust, but that's what this is about.
Yeah.
It is a trust, though. You were trusting that it was going to work out, because there was something bigger here, divine love in charge, not you and Allie. I mean, wow. I love that.
It was so great. And for, if anyone knows her, we're very complimentary in personality. And so it was an easy choice for me, and it wasn't. And for her, the faith and the kind of just the lack, the bravery, honestly, is the best word, is the bravery that it took to make that choice was astounding, and really changed the course of our lives.
Wow. Oh, Emily told me I was going to love you. Yeah. I want to know you. I want to stay in touch.
I love that.
You guys, I mean, I really look forward to your coffee. So I think I want people to know where they can go to experience your coffee, not just, I want to know how to order it online. But I also want to know how we can find you and experience you. And I have one more question before we go there. I just remembered you collaborated with a group in Austin, a musical group.
Yeah.
I mean, how did that evolve? And can you bring the trust element into that?
Oh, my word. Of course. Well, that one, a lot of times, is just being open. And once again, the three things is having a little bit of talent, which for me, I'm good with connecting with people, being in the right place at the right time, and working hard. And so really all of the things that have happened are those three. And that one was great. So really great band out of Austin, Texas. They're called the Band of Heathens, not to be confused with the Band of Horses. Those guys are great too, but the Band of Heathens have been around longer than those guys, and make really great music, and very inspired by the Gulf South. A lot of their music, their biggest, most popular song is actually a cover. It's called Hurricane, and it's really, it plays on the radio a lot, but really great guys. Well, they happen to love coffee, which is really cool. And so we were in Covington opening up. So Jackson is about 2.5 hours north of Covington, but my business partners down there are essentially family. So we were living with them and in their Airbnb, opening up the coffee shop together. Such a wonderful season. But we had actually just gotten all of the permits for our coffee shop, and we were kind of open on the weekdays, but slowing it into being open all the time. So it was a Sunday, and we were closed at the coffee shop. And that evening, there was a music festival in downtown Covington, and the Band of Heathens were the headliners. And so I think that we woke up, and I, looked up, and I saw that they were going to do that, and I planned to go to the music festival, really excited. And downtown Covington's just so cute and small, and everybody rides their golf carts everywhere. And the mayor of Covington is so funny. He has this little like train of golf carts, so he's kind of like tows a couple behind him, and he'll just do these tours. He's like a hobby historian, so he would do these tours. So Allie and I, we lived right down the street from the coffee shop, and we woke up and we said, "Hey, the coffee shop's closed. Let's go and just enjoy it ourselves," And now it's open every day. So there's never a time that you can just go sit and just enjoy, the quiet and the light and the plants. And so we were walking down to just go sit in the coffee shop, and I was going to make her a drink. And then Mayor Mark drives by in his, golf cart train, and I saw the Band of Heathens was back there. And so I just shouted out, I was like, "Hey, y'all come get a cup of coffee." And so then they said, "Oh yeah, maybe we will." Well, I heard later, because I'm really good friends with these guys now, but they had said that Mayor Mark didn't want to, but they were like, "No, we really want to go get a cup of coffee. Can you please take us by?" Well, he then changed his mind, came over there, and it was just me and Allie, and then my business partners in the band, and we just had the best time. And they got to play on all of our espresso equipment, and we just really connected, like just happenstance. And so typically, if I, meet someone, if you give me an inch, I'm going to ask for a mile, right? So then that went from them, just meeting me to me reaching out to the guitar player, and I really connected. And I said, "Hey, what if we did a collaboration with you guys?" And he said yes. And I was like, "Awesome." So I sent him a bunch of coffees and taught him how to cup, and he picked his own blend. And then it went to like, "Okay, cool. Now what if we come out to Austin during South by Southwest, and we shoot some footage of this to launch this new blend?" And man, they welcomed us into their studio. They like special content. Like both of the two front men played a two different like acoustic versions of their songs, while I did like a pour over in the background of this. And it was on our socials, and it was so much fun. And then we got to go, and it was during South by Southwest in Austin, so we were able to go hang out, and they introduced us to all their friends, and it was just a blast. And then those guys, that was an awesome launch to that partnership. And then I think about a year or maybe 8 months later, then even more, they actually came to Jackson and did a show for us here in Jackson at our other coffee shop. So they've been just great guys. And I always think that I wrote this really beautiful piece of how music and coffee connect together. And so
I read it. I loved it. Oh, I loved it.
Really the why of why would you partner with the band? And it's just because music and coffee are different notes in the same chord, is I think one of the things.
Yes. And after you talked about that, you said, this is just so beautiful. "I want to measure my life through the pleasure of simple things." And that's what you're doing, though. So sharing, you were sharing your coffee with your wife.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that until the band drives by in the golf cart train.
Isn't that the best? So I need to make sure that everybody knows that's actually the band. They wrote that line. So
they did. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
I thought that was what you said. No, you didn't say that.
That was actually their we launched that coffee whenever they did a live album of their album called Simple Things. And so that was, and their main song was, "I want to measure my life through simple things." And I thought that was such a beautiful line. So that's Ed and Gordy wrote that. So
I see. I gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
great.
Well,
I think that coffee, that was the whole collaboration, is that's what coffee is, right?
yes.
When you wake up and, the light's coming in through, the kitchen window, and you get your cup of coffee, and you have that ritual in the morning, and it's nothing. You're not going to call someone and say, "I just had this experience." It's small, it's sweet, it's important. And I think that more of the ordinary, simple things in life should be celebrated. And
Absolutely.
I love connected with that line so much. I want to measure my life in simple things.
Yeah. So, me too. Me too. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I could talk to you for hours, Trey. Thank you. Thank you so much because it's very refreshing and just very inspiring. The generosity, I mean, your generosity comes out. I mean, can tell you're just a generous soul. And um, I love just seeing you through the computer. So this is really fun. So tell me how we can find your
Yeah.
coffee and how we can find your cafes.
Yes, ma'am. So obviously we love to get our coffee all over the United States. And so unfortunately, most people, most of our market only have our Instagram and website. And I will say that we spend a lot of time on our website, and it's funny. I don't think a lot of people even visit websites that much anymore. But if you do want to learn more about our coffees and our collaborations, we do have some really cool collaborations with that band and then a couple other partners that we love. And then a big one is that our direct trade relationship. So the producers of these coffees, we've been able to visit some of these places and meet the producers and be able to learn more about like their agronomical practices and their humanitarian aid and invest in a lot of the programs at these countries of origin. So you can learn more about that on our website, and then also following us on social media. One of the biggest things for us is education, is teaching people first, how to, we say the only right way to enjoy coffee is however you like to enjoy coffee. That's the rule. But if you want recommendations, we have brewing methods and the like. And then also too, just learning about the coffees and what we taste and the flavors that we enjoy. And so, and then our website is a great place to try our coffees. We have
Okay.
about 20 different coffees that you can try on our website. And this year, we actually are about to launch a new coffee every month starting in June, which is great.
That's fun.
Yeah, so we have a new exciting coffee from somewhere in the world that's going to come out every single month. So
Do you have some sort of club you can join to get those or anything?
we do have a subscription service. So we have a
Okay.
couple of those where you can sign up where you don't have to think about it, and we'll just send you a coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that one because a lot of the times for those coffees, they're quite expensive. And so
Okay.
that's really more for people that are
Special, very special.
yeah, are really excited about tasting new flavors. And so
Mm-hmm.
coffee is really just like any food product where you pay more money and it's a higher quality. And
Mm-hmm.
so we're the roasters. As a roasting company, we're basically like the sommeliers, where we have a little bit of participation in the overall quality where we roast the coffee. But the analogy I like to use is that in the sense of the essence of terroir, we're really just cleaning the window to the soil and the producer. We're not really imparting any good flavor. Only God puts flavor into the coffee. We just try not to mess it up. So a lot of times we'll have more affordable coffees that we work with our partnerships and other coffee shops. But one of the things we're excited about this year is some not as affordable coffees that taste fantastic and that have just crazy flavor.
Fun.
So yeah.
Would that be on your Instagram? Because your website is really fun to look at. So I want the listeners to know that. I mean, it's very interesting to look closely at the coffees. It's just very beautifully and fun. It's got a fun element, just like I'm sure your
Yeah,
cafes do. Yeah. So, um, those coffees, though, the monthly releases, will they be on your Instagram?
everything.
That how
Instagram,
we'll find out about it?
yeah,
Okay.
if you're following us in any ways, we'll let you know for sure. And so
Okay.
we'll highlight those each month. And so Instagram and website, and yeah, we'll make sure that our listeners and our followers will know. But another thing too, we love to host. We love to host people. Hospitality is so important. So if you're ever in the New Orleans area, Covington is about 45 minutes north of that. You got to take a really long bridge. It's the longest in the whole world, actually. But on the other side of that bridge, you'll get to our coffee shop. And then if you're in Jackson, then we have two coffee shops in Jackson that we'd love to host you at.
Now, is Covington near Lafayette?
It's on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain.
Oh, it's
So
the other side, the other direction.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
so
North
there's
Shore.
then there's Lake Pontchartrain, and if you take the causeway is the bridge that goes
Uh-huh.
across the lake, and we're just about 10 minutes past that.
When we first married, we lived in Lafayette. So I have
Oh, cool.
just mention the word Louisiana and happy. So I
That's
can
great.
imagine the people are so beautiful.
Oh,
I mean, the culture and the fun and the food and yeah, wonderful. Well, one last thing. If
yeah.
you were to share one seemingly ordinary
Mm.
trust that maybe is even a part of your daily life that continues to impact or has impacted you, with our listeners, and maybe it also impacts the people around you. Does anything come to mind?
Yeah. So, one thing that I feel like this day and age that pretty much everyone, especially my age and maybe younger, can relate to is anxiety. It's
Mm,
something that is just it's a plague. And for whatever reason, in the last 10 years, it's just become so prevalent. And, I think that the first thing that comes to mind when you ask me that is that the biggest trust is that obviously as a business owner, I have a lot of plates spinning at the same time,
mm,
and there's about a million things that could go wrong at any moment. And
mhm,
it is not rare for that anxiety to creep in and to keep me up at night or to
mm,
steal my joy or to ruin a moment. And so I think one of the most powerful trusts is just to remember that for me and for what I believe is that there is a God that cares, a God that sees me, and a God that is excited about what I've built and the plates that are spinning, and this trust of not foolishness. It's not to just, close your eyes while you're driving and hope that you don't crash, but just a release of the anxiety and a
yeah,
trust that bad things are going to happen, but it's okay. God is
yeah.
going to be there, and he is going to hold my heart and my family, and we're going to get through it. So
Remember, just
yeah,
remember. And that is really what this is all about. The tiny trusts. I've worked on a book the last really 4 or 5 years, wanting to um, help people realize that remembering is just a choice away through
yeah,
beauty, which
mm,
is nature, through your breath. It's there. You can use your breath. Practical means of remembering,
yeah,
movement of the body, and being still, being creative,
yeah,
being with friends, being in community. So there are practical, that's that you kind of in a nutshell summed up what the reason I do what I do. So, and uh,
it's so
been
good.
wonderful
So good.
chatting with you, Trey.
Yeah,
I hope our paths continue to cross.
I hope so too,
Let's
Sherri.
let's collaborate again. Let's do something. Let's do
I love
something. Yeah,
You let me
yeah.
know
So,
anyway. I love talking with people, and especially in settings like this are so much fun. So thank you
well,
so much.
thank you, and thank you for your story, and thank you for what you're putting into the world. I can imagine what a joy those three little daughters are of yours.
They are my
So,
greatest joy.
oh, well, thanks so much. See
Yes,
you
ma'am.
again.
We'll talk
Bye
soon. Thanks.
bye.
Sherri. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us on Even Just a Little.